Hi, everybody. It's Monday. We're off to a good week for streams. 3 streams a week. That's the deal. And so we're kicking off with a pretty darn good stream. Two of the stories dropped late on Friday, and then one is from today. So nice to see so many of you. Thank you for starting your week with me. We're going to go over these 3 stories per usual. Try to keep your comments to the subject matter at hand, or I might not be able to answer them. And then for the end at the Q&A, you'll be able to ask me anything that you would like for 10 minutes. So nice to see everybody. Hi, everybody. I see Jico's back. Welcome back, Jico. Look at you with your emerald. Kenneth, thank you for joining. Hey, Steven. So yes, I'm wearing what I wore in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reaction. It would be funny if I changed throughout the day, but I tend to wear the same look for the single day. All right, everybody, thank you for joining for the live stream. Let's get started. Here we go. Story number 1. Boop. All right, so, hey, Midnight Bard, welcome back. So when I said today that I was doing this, covering the casting of the Penguin show, I got a couple of comments saying, hey, what about the Joker set pictures, for Joker 2? Why, are you going to discuss that? Why haven't you discussed that? And I was like, I don't really think there's anything happening there, in the shots. I mean, except maybe showing some of the movie. It's not like Lady Gaga has shown up in any of them. So, there really isn't anything to cover, in my opinion, except, maybe some plot points. I thought it was interesting that somebody, when I said that, responded and said, well, how about the fact that Joker's not in Arkham? And you're like, hey, Duality Unlimited. And it's like, well, what do you think's, like maybe it's a dream sequence, maybe it's part of the story, but, I don't want to cover spoilers for the story just because they're filming. I mean, unless you're getting a look at a new character, that's not something I would make a video of. I'm glad there's that kind of enthusiasm for the project, but I can tell you there's not a video there. I don't want to waste your time, by making you think that there's something cool with the pictures, and yet there's not. I saw Jake Gyllenhaal at a mixed martial arts event, and I thought it was funny that some people were like, Patrick Swayze's character from Roadhouse would never participate in that. And I thought that was funny. They're like, this thing's already horrible. And I was like, I love it. It's so funny. All right. So you know what else is filming right now? The HBO Penguin show. Hey, Bronx Knight. I like the way you spelled that. So the Penguin show is filming. And that is a shot of Colin Farrell actually on location now. He looks a little bigger. And also, you can really see his eyes in that photo. Let me see if I can bring the photo in. Let me bring it in a little bit better. Hold on. Because it's fascinating how different he looks. I mean, like you can... Oh, I got rid... Let me see. Hold on. Let me find it. There we go. Okay. I cleaned up my desktop before we got started, and so I have to find it. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. All right, so let me get this ready, and I'll bring it in. All right, there you go. Look at that. There it is. There it is, much bigger. I'll make it really big. There you go. Look at him. Look at him. That's Colin Farrell. He looks more like Colin Farrell there to me than he did in the entire movie. Like when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, that's right, purple suit, Ivan. Good catch. I didn't even think of that. I was just looking at how big he was, and they put hair on his chest. I was like, that's pretty good prosthetics. But he looked more like Colin Farrell than ever before. And Colin Farrell kind of jinxes movies that he's in box office-wise, so I'm like, oh no. But yeah, so he looks very Colin Farrell-y. We'll put that there so you can see it. So they're filming that right now. But they added a cast member. They've been casting for a while. And they've casted Clancy Brown, who you can see at the top right there, to play Salvatore Maroni. Now, as somebody just said, he voices Mr. Crab on SpongeBob, so everybody knows that. But as Chloe just pointed out, he, of course, also famously voiced Lex Luthor in the Superman animated series from a while ago, but I think still to many people, the voice of Lex Luthor. So it's funny that he's going to be playing a different DC villain in a suit on this show. I'm a little nervous about the Penguin spinoff show. I really hope that it's good. They're focusing very much on the Falcone family, which of course was a huge, the John Turturro character, just killed off in the Batman, but of course he leaves a whole mess of relatives behind, including his daughter Sophia Falcone. But they're going with a very different look than from the Long Halloween, where they really dove into the Falcone family. And then, Dark Victory also, of course, touched on the mob in Gotham with the Maronis. One thing that's very interesting that was pointed out is that Sal Maroni is responsible for making Harvey Dent into Two-Face, but he's the one who throws the acid at him in court, I believe. And so that'd be cool if they put that on this show. I mean, there's been no talk about Harvey Dent being on this show, but that to me would maybe make it a little bit more worth, I think, a normie's time. I mean, of course, us hardcore fans are going to watch it. But, how do you get a normie to check out this show? And also, especially because they've also already done Fox's Gotham, which also dug very deeply into these crime families. So I think it's a tough setup. I don't know if Maroni was released from prison. He might be in prison, and you could still run things from inside the prison. It can happen. Robert Pattinson is not necessarily in it. I mean, people say that he's shown up in town when they're filming, so maybe he'll show up a little bit. That would be very cool of him if he was willing to do that. But I just, for some reason, I still don't feel like, they've given a strong reason to watch. I'd much rather watch an Arkham show that was gonna, kind of like gestate comic book villains, Batman villains, and then serve them up already for the movies. That to me sounds a little bit better. Although to have two shows, one focusing on, I would almost wish this was the Penguin show and the Arkham show smushed into one, where we were dealing with the two different pipelines of criminals into Gotham. Focusing just on the mob, especially when Penguin is so stripped down in terms of he doesn't look like a penguin. I don't see him carrying an umbrella or wearing a top hat, right? I'm excited. Although I did love him in the Batman movie. I have a lot of faith in Matt Reeves after watching. Yes, Catwoman is Falcone's daughter. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Zoe Kravitz being involved in the show. We'll see. I would love that. I would love it if this show was really featured that. But let's see. Let's see what happens. I still feel like it's a tough sell right now. Matt Reeves is producing, I think. But so let me ask you. Let's do a poll. I know you guys love the polls. Let's do a poll. Will you watch the Penguin show? They're episode 1, baby. Let's see here. Need to see reviews. Need to see fan reaction. Oh no, let's do reviews, fan reaction. Let's do we'll wait to binge. We'll wait to binge season. And then, nah, not interested. All right, there you go. There you go. There's your poll. There's a poll, baby. So let's see. You have any questions about this while the poll runs before we move on to the next story? Mika, I don't know if Jeffrey Wright's in it. I mean, they haven't talked about it. They haven't talked about Jeffrey Wright being on the show. Joseph says, I will watch, but only out of obligation. I would rather watch the Arkham show. Joseph, I feel you're everybody. I feel that's the perfect statement for how everybody feels about the show. It's, I think they said 8 episodes. They said they reiterated 8 episodes today. It's an 8-episode show. I'll share some tea with you while we wait. Would you like some tea hold music? Do, 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 do. Hey, Rodolfo. All right, so I found out some tea. I can't give away too much because not a lot of people know this stuff, and it's a little spoilery. So I've got some Marvel and DC tea for you. So I can tell you that with James Gunn's DC plans, let's just say that he's building towards, I think that as he reveals more and more of what he's doing, you're going to see extremely deep cuts in terms of DC comics and lore. And I think it's the kind of decisions that hardcore fans would get excited about. You know, people who read comics not only every week, but watch every single animated movie that drops. Like, you got to be like really into DC, you know, even more than I am. And I love DC quite a bit, as you know. So I will say that I'm a little concerned that normies, I like calling them normies are just going to be like, I don't understand what's happening here. So let's see if that's what if he continues with this plan. And like, he has a big reveal up his sleeve from what I hear, but it's a deep cut reveal where DC fans, I think again, will be like, comic book fans, hey Stockley, will be like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I think that non-DC fans or normies will be like, I don't understand what the point of this is. That's kind of like what I see. And I'm talking like a DC fan who hangs out at the comic book store and likes to talk about stuff like not even on a Wednesday, coming in there on a Tuesday to the comic book store and is talking about DC and is not a big Batman fan. He is not, you know how there's always DC fans who are like, why don't we pay more attention to Animal Man and Booster Gold and Mr. Terrific and all those characters? And you're like, well, they don't sell a lot of comics. But I see like an intense interest in those characters from, you know, James Gunn, I think, to be fair, probably is a fan of the material that he's doing, which is why he was hired. But I think that he's that fan. Oh, if you don't know the difference in my joke between a Tuesday or a Wednesday at a comic book store, DC comics actually come out on Tuesday now, I guess, so that doesn't work. But Wednesday is when comic books come out. So Wednesday is when everyone comes to the store. So let's say the comic book fan who comes to the store like on a Friday and just hangs out there. Like, that's like who James Gunn is appealing to, you know? Like that comic book fan. That's right, Haunted Autumn. If you don't get the joke, you might be a normie. That's funny. With all due respect, normies are very important. You know, you need the normies to have it do well. Oh, still better, Bug. But so that's the James Gunn tea. That's all I can say right now because I don't want to get in trouble. All right? I will say that they are, okay, I'll give you a hint. They are building towards a Justice League movie, but from what I hear, like a big team movie. That's all I'll say. It's based on a Justice League storyline, and that's all I'll say about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore because I feel like I might have already said too much. All right, so let me talk about the Marvel tea that I have. All right, so Marvel tea. All I'll say about Agatha, which is still, by the way, slated for 2025. But I got to tell you, from what I heard about Agatha, it's a very slow burn. It's going to be very much a Billy case study, character study. And that's all I can say. I will say that based on what I heard, it's more of like a really long end credit scene than a story in and of itself. Like, you think 2025 is long. This is just an intro, this series. Like, it's building towards something that you would think would happen on the Agatha show and is not going to happen on the Agatha show. It's almost like the Agatha show is a appetizer to a Wanda movie, maybe. All right, that's all I'll say. All right. Okay, but I'm still excited about it. That's the tea. Let me see how you guys voted. All right, end poll. Let's see what the poll is. 46%. There, day one, baby, episode 1. Oh, wow, I'm surprised. 23% says not interested. That's very interesting. Another 23% need to see fan reactions, and then just 6% of you will binge. And not a lot of you even voted on that poll. Interesting. Tyler Rod says, how can James Gunn not see that the deep cuts are hurting Marvel right now? That's a great comment, Tyler. That's exactly how I would describe what Marvel's doing right now. Severe deep cuts. And to make it even crazier, deep cuts like into the Silver Age, where you're like, this isn't even from the current comics. Yeah, I think deep cuts are very dangerous. And I think they're hard to wrap your head around. So it's interesting. That's brilliant, Tyler. My pleasure, it will be okay. I hope you liked that. That was almost like a preview of tea. I gave you like a drop of tea. I let you sniff the tea instead of serving some tea. But, I thought that was an interesting some interesting things. And, I know you guys like some tea, so I thought I'd give you a little bit. Oh, H. Tiz says, what's a deep cut? A deep cut is something that is like the minutia, like very small details of comic book stuff. Like someone would, only somebody who would, know about it and to some degree care about it who was like a super fan. That's what a deep cut is. Instead of like, I think the broad strokes that people that sell the stuff and push the stuff. Sean Turner, I think you're right. Niche stories and characters is maybe a good way to put it. Chloe Clark's as a character, not super popular in mainstream. Yeah, obscure. Yeah, things that have like a niche fan base, a cult fan base, like that kind of a thing. And I think that what Marvel's doing right now, I think would be described also as deep cuts. Like MODOK would be a deep cut. You'd be like, it's not very commercial also. So that's really interesting to me. The comparison to Marvel, what's going on with them right now, is really even makes it even more interesting. All right. So that's the thing. I mean, I think that's where James Gunn's sensibilities lie based on what he did at Marvel even. Like Guardians, that's right, Kay Walton. Guardians was a deep cut that was extremely successful. But that doesn't mean just because you jump off a bridge and live to survive the tale once doesn't mean you keep doing it all the time. It doesn't work every time. Just like, I think some of the deep cuts that he made for the Suicide Squad weren't as popular. So, all right. Stephen says, if Agatha is what you say, it sounds more simple. Why would it take so long? It's scheduling. I think they don't want to have that many shows at a time. And Big League Chew says, deep cuts plus high quality commercial appeal, acceptable for myself, Marvel quality. Well, Big League Chew, that's an interesting point about, quality is important and, execution. But some deep cuts, I think, are so deep that the character just doesn't click with mainstream audiences, no matter how well they're written. So that can be, I think, tough, especially when you're doing just deep cuts. It's one thing to sprinkle it on like a mainstream character, which is, a lot of times, well, they'll add Batman to everything. All right, so that's the first story of the day. The second story of the day, boop. Okay, so Zorro's coming back, and I was kind of excited about this for a minute until I was reminded that Wilder Valderrama is playing Zorro, and then I'm like, I'm out. I know some people are Wilder Valderrama fans from his that 70s show days, but I think the fact that Wilder Valderrama never really came back is, I think, a little bit of a tough call. There are so many great actors, like someone just mentioned Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal from Werewolf by Night. There's just much better casting choices there. Look at Pedro Pascal coming off of, Narcos. I'd rather see Wagner Moura. There's just so many better people that you could hire that it's weird to go with Wilder Valderrama. Although, as Narby pointed out, Antonio Banderas did recommend Tom Holland, which was very, very crazy. All right, so the reason that this Zorro show is in the news today is that Disney Plus hired a writer to be the showrunner and to produce the show. And they picked Brian Cogman, who actually worked on Game of Thrones. And when I said this, when I tweeted about this, what the story would be, some people were like, I hate Brian Cogman. He ruined Game of Thrones. But in fact, he worked on Game of Thrones the entire run and wrote episodes throughout all 8 seasons. So I don't know why anybody would pin the disastrous season 8 on him. He is a consulting producer on Rings of Power, so I'd be a little nervous about that. And he did write the screenplay for Disney's upcoming Sword in the Stone live-action movie that I told you is going to be shooting this summer, or is at least planning to shoot this summer. So, Danny Ramirez, SMR Goose, who plays the new Falcon character who was in the show, he's a good choice. Oh, Tina Huerta would have been a good choice, Rodolfo, but I guess they feel he's already Namor. But I hope they got a lot of plans for Namor because Tinoch Huerta is just sitting on the shelf. But anyway, I guess they must like the way the Sword in the Stone screenplay worked out because they've hired him to run their Zorro show. And this is supposed to appeal to a modern audience. I'm like, this better not be like that National Treasure show that nobody's watching. But I am encouraged to see Disney Plus hiring a Game of Thrones writer. I guess it's not that much of a stretch considering he also did their Sword in the Stone project. And let's not forget that Disney hired a Game of Thrones director to do Thor, The Dark World, and that turned out absolutely horrible. So it's not always a home run. It's not always a home run, but it is. I'm still going to give Disney Plus the credit. Look at Des Nizra out there loving the National Treasure series. That's awesome. You do you. You love it. That's great. O'Deal says this works in the OG book Zorro is very violent, but it can't be on Disney Plus. And do you really think you're going to see Wilder Valderrama and doing that? Dorothy says, just finished watching your Last of Us Episode 8 review. Thanks so much. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying those breakdowns because, it's different because, we talk so much about themes and thematic and writing. So I'm really glad you're enjoying that. I'm having a great time breaking that show down. So we'll see. I just like the Disney Plus. I hope that Disney Plus starts to become a scooch more sophisticated with their content because they're having a very hard time going up against the other streaming services, I think, at this point. I think they're having a rough time. I know, but they still, at the same time, they have to stay true to the Disney brand. The Santa Claus series did very well, interestingly enough. Tim Allen, got a last-minute reprieve, I think, because of that at the Disney company. But Disney content still has to be basically all ages family friendly. But that's fine, though. I think the problem is that so often seems to me when Hollywood sees family content, they think it doesn't have to be well written, that kids will watch anything. And that's not true. I think everybody responds better to better content and better constructed content. I mean, look at some of the great Disney classics, and you can because they're all available on Disney Plus. If you go back and you watch, Pollyanna or The Parent Trap, two particularly good Haley Mills movies, those are fantastic. Those are just absolutely wonderful. Oh, Shamshire, thank you for donating some memberships. That's very generous of you. So there's really good stuff out there. So I think it could do well. Shar says, my son loves Wednesday. Wednesday's a good, Benedict Society's on Disney Plus, but Wednesday is a good example of a show that has adult elements to it, but I think is very family friendly. Wednesday was actually such a good, strong family show. I was really impressed with that. And that was a very well written show. Wednesday's a very well written show, very well acted show. It takes itself very seriously. And I'd love to see, that's also, they had they really focused on the fact that the Addams family are a Latino family, Gomez Addams. And I think that it would be great to do something like that with Zorro. I'm just worried that Wilder Valderrama. I mean, I feel the thing's DOA with him in it. I mean, unless, he can show a side of us. Maybe he has a potential that's never been tapped, and Disney Plus is going to introduce us to it. But I feel it's just such a horrible casting idea. Although, wasn't it his idea? I think he pitched it. So if he pitched it, maybe I'll take a look at it. If he cares so much and this is his big ticket to reinvent himself, and he came up with the idea and he went and did all the work and the groundwork, well, then he does deserve a chance to star in it. But I mean, let's see what the rest of the cast is. And I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I have to tell you, Zorro was my mother's favorite show growing up, the Disney Zorro. And so I always have a soft spot for it. And I think everybody enjoyed the Zorro movies. With Antonio Banderas. I even liked the second one. I actually think the second one was a little bit better than the first one. I kind of liked, both of those Zorro movies. Did you guys like the Antonio Banderas in some ways is still playing Zorro, the cat version with Puss in Boots, funnily enough. You guys want a Zorro poll? Okay, I'll give you another poll. All right, here. Will you watch Disney Plus Zorro? I mean, I definitely will watch the first episode because it's Zorro. And that's right, Batman is based on Zorro. So, heck yeah. Need to see a trailer. Like Zorro. But Disney Plus, Wilmer, and Wilmer. Where's HBO's Zorro? Or Netflix's Zorro? Okay, like Zorro, but Disney Plus and Wilmer, and then no thank you. You know, very polite no thank you. All right, you can vote in that poll. That did make Catherine Zeta-Jones's career, the Zorro movies. That's right, Kenneth. Anthony Hopkins was Zorro as well. Carrie, I don't remember that quote. I have not seen those movies since I saw them in theaters. I'm not defending the casting of some of these past Zorro projects, that's for sure. By the way, I want to say on a side note, unfortunately, April O'Neil trended today because people felt that her character was race-bent. Now, I want to point out some important things so while we're voting, because I think this is the same thing. I'll talk about it more as I continue to cover that movie, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. First off, I think the most important element is that the character of April O'Neil was an African-American woman in the original source material, but was race-bended in the other direction by Hollywood when they decided to adapt the material. So right there, if I were Seth Rogen, I'd be like, 100%. We're going back to the original source material. I mean, it's just, you got to do it. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but it would be pointed out by every single reporter as the thing came out. That's the animated series, Wade. I'm talking about the comic book, the original comic book that created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that the cartoon was based on. So that's really important. And then I think the other thing that you have to point out, and it's the same thing, the reasoning I have behind The Little Mermaid, and that's that look where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live, right? So if they're in the boroughs of Manhattan, the boroughs of New York City, I think that it would be really disingenuous to not have April O'Neil reflect those communities. So I feel like it's really important. Like, I just feel it's like a no-brainer. I just feel it's really important. And so I'm a fan of what they're doing. So I'm fine with it. I think she looks great. I think she has a lot of personality, you know? I know it's whiplash to go from like Megan Fox to like that kind of different character, but I think it's really important to represent different kinds of women and to have really fully fleshed out characters that have a lot of personality and, you know, are really cool. And I think it's great. All right, let's look at the poll. All right, so 38% of you say yes, you want to see a trailer. 38% of you, though, also say no thank you. Whew, 13% are all the way in. Well, 10% are like, I like the idea of a Zorro show, but I don't like the way this is coming together. Interesting. Nicholas Cardillo says, I love Zorro, but Disney Plus streaming is a bad idea. Can we get Seth Rogen on Prime Video? He's on there. Seth Rogen, he's just, as I said in my trailer reaction, I think he's doing a great job. Great job. I think he's a wonderful producer, and I think he has really good instincts. All right. So that's the second story of the day. We'll see how the Zorro show comes together. I think the rest of the casting is going to be crucial as to the direction that the show is going in. You know, is it like a serious show that's going to be really cool and change how we all see Wilder Valderrama? Or is it going to be like, you know, a little bit ridiculous? All right. So that's the second story of the day. Third story of the day, boom, baby. The Alien movie is coming together. And I got to tell you, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So the Alien movie is being made by 20th Century. No longer, they dropped the Fox, 20th Century. Ridley Scott is producing, okay? Let's see here. So hold on, all right? We're on the next story, guys. We're on the next story, okay? I appreciate your thoughts, though. Alien it's a movie. This is the movie. This isn't the series. This is the movie that they're making. Ridley Scott is producing, and he's hired Fede Alvarez to direct. Now, Fede Alvarez got a pretty good start. He did a remake of Evil Dead. He then did Don't Breathe, which did very well, especially because it had like a shock value element to it. But then he went on, his big thing that he got was the next Girl with the Dragon Tattoo follow-up, The Girl in the Spider's Web, and he killed Claire Foy's career from The Crown. Talk about a horror show. Talk about a horror show. Oh my God, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So anyway, I love it. So, but now he's getting yet another chance to direct an Alien movie, and I gotta say I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little nervous. I don't know if he's a great choice, although let's be fair, Ridley Scott's directed some clunkers too. So, people have ups and downs. People have ups and downs. So let's just focus on the things that Fede Alvarez did that were successful and found an audience. Although for the Alien movies, I'm nervous. So let me just continue. So I like the lead actress that they've cast, Callie Spaney. That's her on the left. She's kind of hard to see there. But remember they redid The Craft? Remember they redid The Craft movie? The star of The Craft, that remake, The Star? I thought she was a pretty good actress. So she's the lead. But then they added 4 new additional actors today. And that third guy the guy in the middle, he's actually from Shadow and Bone. And I think he does a pretty good job on that show. So they've cast it, but I'm a little nervous because they've casted all these 20-somethings. And to me, it seems like they're turning Alien, which went from a really cool, like, truckers in space setup to, like, a 20-something slasher movie, right? Like, if these things all become the same, what is the point of it, right? Like, is this, if this becomes like Scream and, Sean had the same thought. It's like Scream meets Alien. I don't like it very much. Travis says, but Travis is excited, especially if Fede goes the Prey route. That's right, Travis. I was thinking that too. If this is made for Hulu and they're going to air it on Hulu like Prey, then maybe I'd be a little bit more interested. It's not a remake. It's a new story in this universe where for some reason all these 20-somethings come across as xenomorph. Like, what? Was it a party gone wrong? That sounds like such a Hollywood pitch. We're at a raver in the future, and a xenomorph, somebody thinks it's a costume and lets him in, and everything goes crazy. And you're just like, I don't even know what to say to that. But, it sounds like something they'd make, quite frankly. It is like the CB. It is like CB. That's so funny. The reason I can't say CB say it out loud is that it's, YouTube has become, very protective, and I understand that and respect it. So I have to censor myself, just so you understand why I have to do that. But yeah, so I think that the whole point of, the Alien franchise is that it often has fully formed adults in it because it's supposed to be like, again, truckers in space. I loved that element of the first movie. Or, in the second movie, it was Marines meets a jerk from corporate. That stuff's fabulous. And, that's the kind, you're supposed to take regular situations that are very relatable. And that's why I think none of the other Alien movies have worked, because you're supposed to take something that is relatable today, but yet give it a futuristic space twist to it. And then you're like, awesome. So, let's see. I really enjoyed what Michael Fassbender did in the recent films. I felt that was the only reason to watch any of them. Especially because they brought like the Blade Runner aspect into it. And I thought that was fascinating. But otherwise I didn't like the casting on those films either, to be honest with you. Also, the stupidest people. The Alien movies are funny. You're like, stop touching everything, and keep your mask on. It's like, what's happening here, Although after COVID, it's very realistic. People would take their mask off and say, I want to just walk outside in the air and see what it's like. Don't limit me, man. You're like, all right, but you're not getting back on this ship. I'll tell you that. That would be hilarious. I would be more interested in that. A COVID take on the aliens and how people reacted to it. If it was on Earth and they were like, look, the face hugger's going to come get you. You better be careful. And people were like, don't tell me what to do. But then there would be a very political movie. But I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be absolutely hilarious. But I don't like the way this movie's shaping up at all. I think when you put this cast with Fede Alvarez, I'm like, don't like that. Don't like that at all. All right, so that's the third story of the day. It's a little bit of a shorter stream today. Let's see here. I haven't seen Scream yet. I'm seeing Scream tomorrow. My review for Scream will not go up when the embargo lifts. The embargo for Scream lifts on Wednesday at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is when my breakdown is going to drop for The Mandalorian. So I will review Scream on Wednesday, like before noon. So it'll go up, but it'll be a little bit late because I gotta, it's the exact same time the Mando episode drops, and I want my breakdown ready for that because that's a great episode, and I want to make sure I'm ready to cover it for you. All right, so let's see here. It's 3:40. You can ask me anything you'd like until 3:50, and then I have time to do shout-outs. Sidhu says, if they're switching it up, they've never done teenagers versus xenomorphs. That's funny. What if that's who could beat a xenomorph? Teenagers. Hey, April C. Bemrich. Den says, Grace, don't watch Star Wars Rebels to prep for Ahsoka. Disney's XD YouTube channel has 30-minute supercuts with all the important stuff. Oh, thanks, Dent. That's a good advice. Oh, Troll, you're closing on a house this week. That is exciting. Ruben, I feel, there's nothing to say about the Joker set pictures. I'm glad they're filming. It looks like they're still doing a great job. And I don't want to ruin the story for any of us. Chris says, does Ant-Man's low box office numbers signify the start of... let me mark this as Q&A. Hold on. 1 second. Where'd it go? Does Ant-Man's low box office numbers signify the start of a decline in comic book movies? Similar to how the Western movies slowly died out. That's a good question, Chris. I don't believe so. I think it's a warning sign that they have got to fix the script problem. Especially as they're talking now about, should we let artificial intelligence write scripts? You're like, oh my God, no. Like, get better writers. So I'm nervous about it. Frosty Salt says, have you seen Hallie's Ariel doll? Chico's asking the same thing. I do love that they went with a natural ginger hair color, but I miss the bright red hair. Kind of wish her hair was red underwater and natural ginger on land. I have not seen the doll. I'm very excited for this movie. I got myself excited again thinking about Lin-Manuel Miranda's successful movies like Moana and Encanto. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going to just look past the VFX. I like the natural ginger red hair. I think it's very pretty, and I think that it gives her like a beach look, which I think is really fun. I like it. I mean, I think giving her bright red hair, I don't know if it would have, bright red hair is hard for anyone of any ethnicity to pull off. I'm fine with it. I actually kind of like the way it looks quite a bit. She has such a great smile. I don't understand how anyone could have any hate towards Halle Bailey. She's just so charming. Nicholas Cardillo says, 5 years and 6-year badges ideas. Oh, but I already did the badges, Nicholas. They're already, I don't even know how do I say what's adamantium and vibranium? They're the same color. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's see. I'm trying to go back here. All right. Jake Van Norden, thanks for joining. Tillman says, hey, Grace, my twin brother introduced me to your YouTube a few years ago, and I have not stopped watching your content. Grateful for your hard work. Thanks, Tillman. And say hi to your twin brother for me. That's so cool to have a twin. Asami says, Grace, did you hear about the Scooby-Doo movie that's fully leaked online? Is that like the holiday one that they didn't release? I have not heard about that. That's interesting. Leo, I'm sorry you retracted your message. iReady, thank you for gifting the memberships. That's very kind of you. As usual, iReady, another very generous member of the BTT community. Justin Tyler says, hey Grace, should guns Wonder Woman fly? 1,000%. Wonder Woman should always fly. I don't like a depowered Wonder Woman. I mean, I don't think we need to start taking stuff away from Wonder Woman. I didn't watch the Citadel trailer for Prime. I haven't seen that. I watched the Ghosted trailer, which leaked, or is kind of leaked. They wanted it to leak for with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. I didn't like that trailer. I think Chris Evans is miscast. Little Baby Pizza says, have you heard any reviews, good or bad, for Adam Driver's new dinosaur movie? No. All I'll tell you is that my screening is on Thursday, right before it hits theaters. So I'll review it on Friday. Tess Rauscher, thanks for joining. I like your name, Tess. That's a cool name, Tess Rauscher. Chris Sanchez says, what's DC's excuse that comic book movies aren't going anywhere? Well, let's see. I think that we're in for a little bit of a bumpy road, though, with these ones that are still left over. Cole Jackson says, Grace, Joker 2 isn't a New York homage. It's Fosse's Cabaret. Well, that's just your opinion, Cole. It's definitely based on New York. He's made it clear that it is based on that. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't have some cabaret thrown in there. They're certainly from the same time period, but, that's just your opinion, Cole. Jennifer says, are you excited for the Oscars this weekend? Yeah, I am. I mean, if we're not excited for the Oscars, who's going to be? You got to kind of be excited for your own awards show, right? We're into the movies. We got to be excited about it. I don't like some of their ads, though, that they're like talking about how it's not good, which I thought was a weird thing to do. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to catch up here. Argo says, today is my last day as a member. I enjoyed the last 3 months very much. I'm glad, Argo. I will, however, continue to watch as a sub. My pleasure, Argo. Do what you got to do. We love you, too. I hope you can come back at some point as a member. Let's see here. Ruben Bernardo says, do you think The Last of Us is in danger of running across the same Game of Thrones issue with source material after they finish adapting Part 2? I don't really know if they need to go beyond Part 2, to be honest with you, based on what I know about Part 2. I think maybe just do the 2 and then they're done. I think there's something to be said for going out on top. I have some respect for Succession that this is the final season. I think it sucks. It hurts. But I got to tell you, even on season 1 of The Last of Us, while I love it, I think it's a brilliant show and I'm really enjoying it, you have the feeling that they don't have a ton of gas in the tank. So I think I'm glad that they're rationing it appropriately. Ivan Sarmiento, I will cover Ted Lasso season 3, and I've already watched the first 3 episodes. Let's see how many they get to me before the embargo lifts on Friday. My review will go up around then. Oh, look, Bartleby asked a question. Bartleby. Bartleby, of course, is an incredibly generous member of the BTT community and just gifted 50 memberships on Friday. And I was like, Bartleby never asked a question. Here we go. Bartleby says, hey there. Which would be a bigger deal for Disney? Guardians 3 bombing or the Marvels bombing? Oh, that's interesting. They'd both be horrible. To get hit again after Ant-Man, I mean, both those things need to hit. But a bomb, I think the worst bomb would be the Marvels because there's going to be so much toxicity around Brie Larson and Iman Vellani. I'm nervous about it. I don't want to go through it any more than Disney or those people do. So I think that would be the worst situation. With Guardians, it would be the Guardians would be more interesting though, because it would be like as Gunn goes to DC, he'd be going off of a flop. Like if Gunn went to DC off of not only the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker being like not huge hits, certainly not big mainstream hits, and then add to that Guardians slipping and failing, that would be pretty bad. Irady says, can you explain the movie percentage drops? I have a hard time understanding if a percentage drop is good or bad. I'm so glad. That's a great question. Well, sure. The percentage is how much it dropped from the previous weekend. Anything like drops are pretty typical. 50% is like fine, Anything like 40 or less, 40% or less is great. That's a hold. But when you start dropping in the 60 and the 70th percentile, even if you continue to keep dropping in the 50 percentile after the first week, it's not great. So that's kind of like what you're looking at. I hope that gives you a little bit better of an idea. There's a lot of factors into it, Irady. What weekend are you on? What are the previous holds been like? So that's what you're looking at. Let's see here. Did I miss? I got to go back. It skipped me ahead. Oh, nope, I'm good. All right. Where are we? Oh, it skipped me again. Okay. Damon242 says, Hollywood pretending that the Aliens franchise was because of Scott's first film and not Cameron's sequel. There are 2 audiences for this franchise. I don't think that's true, Damon242, although I do understand where you're coming from. I think that the first film was really crucial. Who wrote the first Alien? Wasn't that? Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. I think that James Cameron didn't have anything to do with it until the second one. I think Alien fans, honestly, for the most part, love both movies. But I think you do have to consider both elements. You can't just lean just into the Ridley Scott stuff. I don't think there's two audiences. I would disagree that there's two audiences for the movie. But that's it. If I were a producer, Damon, and you were also like a fellow producer or somebody who worked at the office, and you came in and said that, or creative, I would listen to what you had to say, and I would look a little bit into it, and I would think about that. So I wonder what you mean by it, Damon. Do you think that the James Cameron audience will love this, teeny bopper alien movie and be like, as long as there's some hoorah in there, I'll be excited? Oh, look, Queen Davy wants to thank the Foreign Fool for gifting them a membership. Oh, that's very nice of you, Queen Davy, to remember. Boop to you too, Salty Snack. I love it. Rob Wall says, will you review Percy Jackson when it releases? I don't know. I don't know anything about Percy Jackson, and it seems like it's for kids. So I can't imagine there being a big audience for breakdowns for Percy Jackson, to be honest with you. Chris Vornos says, do you think Mando Episode 2 will help boost numbers? I sure hope so. It's a great episode. I was really impressed. That's all I'm going to say. I want you to be surprised, just like I was. I was really impressed with what they decided to do. Cole Jackson says, Grace, will you do a Succession spoiler review on a live stream when it ends? Maybe I'll do, Cole, I don't know if I'll do it on a live stream. Maybe I'll do a Succession. Maybe I will do that because it's the end. We know the show's over. Maybe I will. I like that. What do I see happening to Greg? Let's see. I like Greg. Tom and Greg. I love them. I think they're so great. Jay King says, Bella Ramsey really impressed me last episode. Yeah, she's a wonderful actress. I'm very impressed. Jorge says, Guardians has a solid fan base. I don't think that it will bomb. I wouldn't either, but I've been surprised at the lack of interest in the trailers for the third entry. Gico, the Shazam 2 embargo lifts March 15th in the evening. Sidhu says, will you be getting any Succession screeners? I keep checking. I haven't heard anything about it yet. Although I don't know if I would want to watch Succession screeners in advance. I like watching it with everybody else. It's weird to watch stuff ahead of everyone else. So there, for some things, I would rather watch with the group. Like White Lotus. The only time those things come in handy for me, like White Lotus, is if I know I'm not going to be... maybe I'll watch it the week of in advance, but I don't want to be too far ahead of everyone else. Paul Brunel says, going to Madison Square Garden in December, would it be a pain to drive into the city, or would you recommend the train? The train for sure, Paul. It's going to be very hard to find parking around there. It's really crowded. Especially because you're going to be right next to the train station. The Foreign Fool gifted another membership. Oh, that's right. Your generosity sparked them to give another one. And this time Darren got it. Oh, that's great. That was really cute. Hey, Jander. Ethan Maddox says, Ted Lasso, Mando, and Succession all in the same time. I hate to see them compete against each other since they're all so good in their own ways. One of them is going to get neglected. Will it, though? They're on different days, although Ted Lasso does drop on Wednesdays. But Ted Lasso is a very different type of show than Mando. Why would they drop it on Wednesdays if Mando drops on Wednesdays? That doesn't make any sense to me. But Succession is on Sunday, so don't worry about that. Owl Watch, I think I stopped reading Dano's Riddler. Baby Bear says, hey Grace, I saw an article that Mark Ruffalo is not coming back to do any more MCU movies. Is this true? I read it from an article, Inside the Magic. I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know that source, but I cannot vouch for that in either direction. Matthew Winnell says, why doesn't Disney copy Warner Brothers' success with HBO and turn Hulu into a high-quality adult TV subscription service? I think, Matthew, the question is that what do people want from Disney? And I think, Bob Iger purchased Star Wars and Marvel so that he could get little boys and men to be interested in Disney because it was skewing heavily female at the time. And he just couldn't come up with anything in-house that would capture their attention, guys' attention. And it worked. Spectacularly so. But at the same time, there's, Disney provides something that no one else can provide. And I know that because I wanted to watch on Saturday night. I didn't want to go to sleep. So I was like, I feel like watching an animated, classic kids movie. But I've seen every Disney movie so many times. I was like, I've seen all these. I could act it out right now. So I went to all the other streaming services, and I was looking through their kids' content. I was looking through HBO Max's kids' content. I was looking through Paramount Plus's kids' content. I forgot my Peacock password, so I didn't go and look there. But the thing is that the children's windows, they're like the portals, look so different for those other services. You know, like they're just so different. None of them has the cozy factor that Disney does. So Disney goes to people for that feeling, for that factor. And so and that takes so much to create that I don't really know if they need to spend their time and energy creating something that Warner Brothers is supplying. That's why I love that Warner Brothers and Disney both exist. And they're both supposed to focus on delivering those two different things. So, like, I would not advise Warner Brothers to go try and make stuff for kids either. I'm like, Warner Brothers, you do you. And Disney, you do you. And then we'll all be very happy. Dancing Dog 60. There we go. That iReady and Dancing Dog 60 and Bartleby, who are all on today's stream, are the most generous people. And the Foreign Fool, Foreign Fool's on the board. Let's see here. ES says, I met Matt Smith, May Calamaui, and Hayden Christensen and cried this past weekend at some kind of convention, I'm guessing. Had a great time, and they were all too nice, especially Hayden. Oh, I'm so grateful that you had such a good experience. That's wonderful. I'm so happy that you had a good experience, and they were really kind and nice. That's great. And kudos to all three of them for being so wonderful. I ain't touching the Chris Rock special with a 10-foot pole. I feel like the people who did the after show, who also didn't want to. I don't believe the after show is available on Netflix anymore. They were like, don't show that to anybody. Oh, thanks, Eyes Only. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. But I also can tell you that Paramount Plus is very tricky with the Star Trek stuff, and they make it difficult to cover their stuff. I don't know why they do that. Let's see, did I miss anything else there? Hold on, I think there are a few questions I missed. I'm over time, as usual, because I love talking to you guys. Alwatch says, what could be DC's answer to Marvel's Guardians, Eternals, and Fantastic Four? The Authority could be their answer to Guardians. But, DC does not need to be Marvel. I think the DC should focus on getting the core characters right first. They can't jump right to where Marvel is a decade plus into the Marvel journey. And as we said, Marvel itself is hitting rocky terrain with this approach. So I think it's a mistake. Chad, CJ, The Road to El Dorado. I could have watched that. I got to get that Peacock password back. Oh, I love that. I would love to watch some DreamWorks stuff. Thank you, Wade. That's very kind of you to say. Argo says, I'm one of 2 associates starting a union drive at my work. Oh, Argo, that's great. What a great use of your time. Sean, I'm not a big fan of Anastasia from 1997. I think the villain stuff's a little too silly, but I like parts of it. Courtney, it's your birthday tomorrow. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, I'm very excited for you. Happy early birthday. Marvelous Jack, I thought Scream 4 was fun, although I did not like Emma Roberts' performance, I'm afraid to say. I'll do like 2 more questions, and then I'm going to do just shout-outs. Rob Wall says, will the trailer for the Marvels drop just before Guardians or sooner? I'm a huge Monica Rambeau fan, and I'm nervous about how the movie will be. I don't think it'll be sooner. I think it'll be at Guardians, if even then. It might be maybe with Little Mermaid or Indiana Jones, because now the movie's been pushed to November. And they don't run a lot of trailers anymore for these movies. So I think it might be maybe with like Indiana Jones instead. So let's see. I'll let you know when I get a heads up on that. Tammy says, hey, Grace, I finally watched The Woman King. Oh, that's wonderful. Just wanted to say I should have listened to you sooner. It was amazing. Oh, Tammy, better late than never. That movie really needs support. It's such a great film, and I'm so glad that you checked it out and that you enjoyed it. That makes me very happy, Tammy, and thank you for sharing. What did Brian do? Where's Brian? I don't see the comment. Oh, you're proposing to your girlfriend tonight. Oh, that's exciting, Brian. Fingers crossed for you. Look at how nice everybody is to wish you good luck. That's so sweet. That's awesome. You have to tell us how it goes, Brian. Brian says, the other Brian says, don't say that too loud. My boyfriend might hear. That's funny. Not Brian M. Brian with a Y. Brian with a Y. Look, there Brian says thank you. You go, Brian. Go, Brian. We're rooting for you. Okay, everybody, time for shout-outs. Let me give some shout-outs. What are you doing? What are you up to on Monday? What's going on? BM says, Grace, do you like the Black Cauldron? Kind of. I've only seen it once. Juan Hernandez says, taking a week off from work just because. I'm on my way to see CB at AMC. A-list, baby. Oh, that's great. We love you too, Juan. I'm glad you're enjoying your day off, and I think you're spending it wisely. You're going to have a good time with that movie. Celine is eating some popcorn. Love it. Oh, look, Raymond's in Disneyland and in line for Alice in Wonderland. Oh, I wish I was standing next to you, Raymond. I love Disney, and I like that ride a lot, too. Josh says, working in the office and listening to your stream. Oh, awesome. Look at those comparisons, right? Oh, thank you, Ryan K. Queen Davy official says, I'm in Western Australia, and it's 4:59 a.m., so giant coffee and then morning workout. Oh, Queen Davy, I'm impressed with your determination to stick to your schedule. Good for you. M says, writing my screenplay and coughing. Oh, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, but good for you on working on your screenplay. Sean Tudor says, about to start Poker Face. You're going to have such a good time. Great show. Great show. Jorge says, making dinner and getting ready for The Last of Us. You're in for a nice evening. A disturbing but fun evening. Alan says, just got here. We'll rewatch as soon as it's done. I'm getting ready for work in New Mexico. Oh, that's awesome, Alan. Anthony Mollet says, recovering from shoulder surgery and enjoying your live stream. Oh, Anthony, I'm glad surgery went well. And I'm glad you're in recovery. And I'm glad we can keep you company. It's so nice to hear from you. KJ says, watching the snowfall and listening to you in the background. Oh, that's so cozy. Ooh, so cozy. I love that. I love weather. I love weather when you're indoors. Rain, snow. It's really, really charming. Let's see here. Rob Wall is also about to watch The Last of Us in the UK, having not been able to watch it when it dropped after a whole day of avoiding spoilers online. Good luck. Haunted Autumns is trying with all my might to avoid Scream spoilers. So close. You can do it. Lewis, your super chat wouldn't send. That's very odd. Frank says, love you, Grace, and BTT members have a great day. You too, Frank W. You too. Oh, it's also Nathaniel Rogers' birthday tomorrow. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Nicholas Cardillo is making popcorn, shrimp, and fries. That sounds so good, Nicholas. I've been doing very good with my non-sugar and stuff like that. So, but it does also make me very hungry. Let's see. You have a wonderful day too, Em. Jake Eric McDermott says, hey, Grace, watching from Leeds, UK with my boyfriend, Kester. Hey, Kester. Let's see here. Steven says, in Vegas for work, obsessing over all Little Mermaid merch dolls that came out today. That's very cool. I hope we get a trailer soon. Chris Vorna says, hey, Grace, I'm sick right now. Aw, but I'm in the Los Angeles area, hoping I'm better in time for my Scream 6 fan event on Thursday. Well, it's Monday, so I think the odds of you feeling better by then are pretty good. You can take try and get some good stuff from the store, like some good medicine to help you. Take care of yourself. Chicken soup, actually, I don't know what kind of sick you are, but if it's a cold, chicken soup actually does work. What happened to Devin? Let me go back and find it. I don't see anything from Devin. Oh, thanks for being a bright light for me right now. My aunt passed away last night. Oh, I'm very sorry, Devin. That's very sad. I'm sorry that happened to you and your family. But clearly she was loved, which is, I think, really nice. So just think about that. Leroy says, just got back from a driving lesson with my 17-year-old. Time flies. Oh, that's adorable. How nice of you to be helping out like that. Let's see here. Brian, was that your proposal? Brian's fiance said yes. Yay. Hey, Brian, where's your fiance? Is she here? Can we say hi to your fiance? Tell us if she's on the stream looking at the live chat. I'll tweet about Scream tomorrow night. I'm looking for Brian. Yes, she's here now. Hey, Brian's fiance. You made a good choice. He's a sweet guy. He's here on the stream. He's a great member of the BTT community. Oh, that's awesome. What's your fiance's name? So we can say hi to her, personally. Rose. Oh, wow. That's Brian and Rose. Ah, that's so beautiful. Congratulations to both of you, and thanks for making us a part of it. That is so cool to be part of your engagement. That is so exciting. If you don't mind, if you wanted to, tweet me a photo, and I will retweet it. Because I'll say they got engaged on the live stream today. This is the first BTT engagement, I believe. Mr. Titans. That's really great. Well, I can't think of a better way to end the stream. That was wonderful. So congratulations to both of you. It's Brian. Congratulations, Rose. Lovely to meet you if you haven't done a BTT stream or watched a video before. And that was a really great Monday. Wow, you guys always are a great surprise. I love it. I love hanging out with you guys so much. And Devin, our pleasure. Our pleasure, Devin. Feel better. Okay, everybody, bye. Bye-bye.